Hey guys, this is Dylan again with Gyro Technology Solutions. So I just wanted to make a quick video. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube regarding education and how to start with IT, and several things rolled into that type of stuff. So I break it down into three main things: college degree, certifications, and work experience. And whenever you go into a job, those three things are more than likely going to be a part of the hiring process. Um, with a degree, I don't have a degree. I don't think that everybody needs a degree necessarily. If you want a degree, if you have the money for it, then by all means go for it. There's nothing stopping you. But a degree I don't think is necessary for an IT job. Now, if you have a degree and you have certs, then you may get paid more, but it also highly depends on work experience. So just keep in the back of your head that getting that degree is beneficial, yes, but is it an absolute? I don't think so. With certifications, so I currently have um, 9 certifications. I think that's right. And that includes CompTIA, Cisco, EC Council, something that I've never heard of called CIW, which is the Site Development Associate, which is a web design certification. And then I also have Project Plus, which is I would say lesser known in relation to IT because it's more to do with management than actual technical stuff. And then also, well, there was a fourth one. I can't remember what it was now. Oh, VMware, of course. How can I forget VMware? So anyway, those certs, all the vendors are excellent for whenever you go into a job, depending on what you're going to do. So obviously, virtualization will be VMware. With CompTIA, a lot of some CompTIA certs are DoD level certs, such as Security Plus. So some contracts, if you go work for the DoD, some or DOE for that matter, some of the contracts will say, hey, we want you to have Security Plus. Now, you can get it, or you can have them, depending on how their contract is laid out, you might be able to have them pay for it if you can get it within a certain amount of time. It depends on the situation in the contract. And obviously, work experience trumps almost everything. Now, I know I would probably get a lot of flack for this, but I would take somebody with work experience over somebody with a degree if that person with a degree doesn't have a lot of work experience. Now, I do agree that people with degrees need to get into a position somehow that has to do with their degree, and that way they can build off of it. However, I don't think that somebody with a degree should just walk into a job and get paid more than someone that's been working there for 10 years and does a great job. That's just my personal opinion. It's not for everybody. I get it. Now, somebody with certs. Now, if you have certs, it shows a big thing. It shows that you are current on what's going on with technology and and how it operates. And so, if you just got your CCNP a year ago, then I am willing to bet you know most things going on with Cisco equipment if I put you on a network. Um, with CompTIA, if you have your A plus, obviously I know that Now, granted, all these certs are recent. If they're on your resume and you have you just got it, obviously then you're current on it. With A plus, I know that you know the basics of operating systems on the hardware and software level, and I know that just basic things to do help desk type stuff. With Net Plus, I know that you should know what a subnet mask is. I know that you know what an IP address is. I know that you should know how many bits are in a IPv4 address, things like that. So if I throw you in there, you may not know everything there is to know about Cisco equipment with a Net Plus, but you know the concepts and the ideas. It gives you a starting point to jump into a infrastructure and not necessarily be able to engineer everything or re-engineer everything for that matter, but you know enough to hop in there and learn. You can learn more and more and more and build off of that. With VMware, we're on 6.7 now, and so I know that you can get in there and at least you know what you're looking at. You may not be able to re-engineer the entire thing, but you know that you can jump in there, you can take a look around. If you jump into to the networking side, then you can see all the port groups or what have you. If you jump into the storage area, you know all of what you're looking at basically. So all these things are important, and obviously everything tied together is super important. But none, I don't think that any one thing is necessarily the best or the worst. I think that a combination, maybe two or more, would be great if you're trying to get into IT or if you're just trying to learn or better yourself. So anyway, as I'm speaking about this, so right now I just finished up my studies for Linux Plus. I'm about to schedule the test and probably go take it here soon. I'll be going to school for the military here soon as well, so I will have a lot on my plate. and that will be very interesting and very fun. For those that are starting off, this is what I always tell people: you don't have to go for CompTIA. You don't have to go. You don't have to go any particular direction that anybody else says. You do what you think is more comfortable for you starting out. I generally tell people to start out with CompTIA with A plus Net plus Security plus. That's the CompTIA stack. Everybody, almost everybody in IT basically knows about it. If you don't want to do that, if you want to just go for something like Cisco, then just go for your CCINT or go for your CCNA. Yeah, that's fine. It gets you in the door to learn more. If you want to do virtualization, of course they have Microsoft's Hyper-V, and they also have VMware's vSphere ESXi host. Those technologies are great. What your overall goal should be, depending on how far you want to go with it. You can be good at one thing, or you can be an expert at one thing, or you can be good at many things. Somewhere in there lies a combination of all of it. But my idea is to be able to walk into an environment, not necessarily be an absolute expert at it, but being able to look at something and being able to go back and research it and say, oh, okay, that's what that is, that's what that does, so how can I expound off of that? If I walk to a network and I see a computer sitting there, and I know that, hey, I need to learn what operating system is running, what software it's using, and what IP address is it getting, and what kind of network is allowing it to communicate out to the internet. So it's just a mixture of things. Whenever I do things such as a brand new infrastructure. So infrastructure is a big word, but it can be a small thing. For example, I have a customer. They only have 6 computers, and one of those is a server. And they just have a regular little router. Well, I'm sorry, I replace it with a firewall, but they just have a little firewall, a little switch, and that's all they need. And so I walk in, and it's super easy to walk in and troubleshoot something. One thing that's highly overlooked is network diagrams, especially in a small shop. Even if it's a small network, I would recommend having a network diagram, just so that if you ever had a business and then you had multiple customers, you're not going to remember every single detail about everybody's network. And so it's best to document. I think documentation is highly overlooked in the IT world. I'm right now I'm working on that exact thing with another customer that I've been doing stuff for a while now. So anyway, with education, degrees are important, not necessarily needed. Excuse me. Um, Certifications are awesome. They show that yes, you do have to pay a recurring cost, and you do have to study every 2 to 4 years, depending on what the length of time it is. So you do have to study, but you're more recent on events, as far as technology and whatnot. Work experience is best, in my opinion, because you're actually hands-on. If you have something happen in the network, then you go troubleshoot that, and you learn what it was, and you learn why it happened. That right there is work experience, and it adds to your skill level. So if you walk into another environment and you hear somebody say, "Hey, we're having this problem," hey, I just ran into that problem, about 6 months ago in another environment. So hey, let's go see if it's related to that. So anyway, that's my take on it. I hope that y'all are you get something out of this. Any questions you may have, I'll be happy to answer. I am not an expert by any means on everything, but I do my best to learn. I do my best to grow. I do my best to give you the best answer I can for a problem that you may or may not have. So just keep that in mind moving forward. I'm all about open source. I love open source. I'm not knocking any of these big vendors, because these big vendors have been around longer than I have, and they obviously they did something right, because they're huge. Microsoft, Cisco, VMware has grown in the last several years. They're there and they're usable. But if you have a smaller budget, then I would suggest going towards open source first, because you can go grab a server with a decent amount of hardware off of eBay. It's not warranted, maybe, but it's hardware that you can use. And so as long as you have that hardware, as long as you set it up to where you back up your files like you should, if that hardware dies and crashes and you get your files backed up, then yeah, you might have. Some people would argue, okay, have a spare server sitting there, or some people would say at least have some money set aside to get a new server. So, and Cisco, they carry warranties with things, and Microsoft, they carry warranties with things. So if you have something crash or fail, then you can just RMA it or send it off or whatever, and they can have something to you the next day, depending on what kind of contract you have. But you know, for these smaller shops, for these guys that don't have a big budget, definitely I would say grab a server off eBay or something like that, or Amazon, and you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. I recently got a server for around 600 bucks, and it's got plenty of resources. I'm currently building a cyber range, a private cyber range, so that's been fun. Um, but I don't want to keep on beating a dead horse. So just keep in mind the open source is out there. It's usable. You can spend far less for building out your business environment with open source. So just keep that in mind. And as far as like I said, as far as the education goes, the sky's the limit. But go about it in a methodical way that you don't have to spend a bunch of money, and you don't have to invest too much of your time to learn something. Right now I'm working on Linux, and then I'm moving on to CCNP, the new Encore exam, and then from there, who knows? There's Cloud Plus, there's AWS, Azure. The sky's the limit. So pick a path and stick on it, and if you want to venture out into that, then you can. I started off as a networking engineer. I'm still a networking engineer, and in the last couple of years, I have moved into cybersecurity. I don't have a degree, of course, but I still have the work experience, and I can use these platforms to apply cybersecurity to other places that may need it. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for watching. I hope you liked it. I hope you can agree or disagree. Please leave it in the comments, and I'll be happy to respond. But yep, y'all have a good night, and thank you.